Take-Two admits that Borderlands 4 sales were worse than expected. So, Borderlands, after a brief period of being the left-wing, like, woke video game franchise that was considered successful, has almost immediately imploded. And this started with Borderlands 3. This was something that was very badly received. People were seething about the Epic Game Store exclusivity. People were seething about some of the things they were doing, the decisions they were making. People hyped this up as one of the year's biggest games, and yet it just completely collapsed and became completely irrelevant. And then Borderlands 4 came out, and the same thing happened, only worse. I think last time people were able to gaslight you into thinking that Borderlands only failed because of like the platform it released on, some of the marketing decisions, things like that. With Borderlands 4, the genie is out of the bottle, okay? These games are failing because they're too woke, they're not very fun to play, and they're glitchy and broken. Okay, it is crazy to see how Borderlands went from one of those IPs that everybody worshipped to just being a complete nothing burger that has completely and utterly imploded. And I suppose this is another example of third party, um, the third party syndrome, like where people hype up a new video game IP only for it to like completely fall apart by the third game. This seems to be another example of that. It reminds me a lot of Dead Space's arc or Mass Effects or like BioShocks where people like put these games on a pedestal, don't actually play them, and then the developers are kind of surprised when their sales just kind of implode. Like just look at Horizon Zero Dawn for another example. God of War, Ragnarok for another example. Like these games have no true momentum to them. Like players are not willing to play through all of these games and then play the sequels. It's not something that most people do. Like one of the reasons The Witcher 3 is so successful is because they never produced one. Because nobody actually plays through all of The Witcher 3. Nobody plays through all of Skyrim. So in a lot of ways, these games not getting sequels actually benefits them because the same people just buy the same game on different pieces of hardware, right? What's happening with Borderlands is very, very typical for the industry. Is that an IP that was initially like hyped up and worshipped by game journos for being progressive, for doing all of these things, for for being subversive and being casual, like this thing completely imploded and became irrelevant within a decade. Okay, I remember when people would say Borderlands 2 was some like huge giga hit, that the looter shooter was this new incredible genre, and it's just kind of the same thing we've always gotten. Okay, like Borderlands is not impressive. It's cringe. It's always been cringe, and the only thing that's changed is that people are now aware of it. Back in the day, Anthony Birch was just some meme on 4chan, right? But now it's just seen as like, just kind of the defining example of millennial cringe, right? Borderlands was the first to try and popularize the trend, and as a result of that, it took a while for the community to realize, to collectively say that this is bullshit and I don't want to engage with it anymore. Okay? It's very interesting to see just how quickly Borderlands has failed. Okay? This is something that we were told was one of the biggest gaming IPs of the past decade, and within a couple of entries, it has degraded into absolute irrelevancy. Like, I'm not even sure if like future installments will get made at this stage. And it's very frustrating that we continue to see people talk about Borderlands and pretend it's relevant and pretend that it's in any way, shape, or form competitive. But we keep seeing this over and over and over again with the community. Like, when are we going to acknowledge that Borderlands, that Take Two has absolutely nothing going for it outside of Grand Theft Auto? Like, that's the reality. Like, Take Two is propped up entirely by the existence of Grand Theft Auto. Like, without that specific IP, none of this other slop would exist. Take Two would not be relevant. They would not be competitive. They would not be able to do things and continue to succeed and thrive and do what they have been doing. Like Grand Theft Auto 6 is the illusion of it, like the Godot of gaming. It's the only thing keeping the lights on at this company. Like everything else they do has just doesn't get made or has fallen into irrelevancy. Like that's why people are worshiping Grand Theft Auto 6 the way they are because they don't have anything else. Like all of their other major IPs are in steep decline right now with no real hope of recovery. There is no getting around the fact that Grand Theft Auto is a complete failure of a video game that Take Two has failed to really build up their brand outside of it, and that they are inevitably going to collapse when audiences move on from their Black Lives Matter simulator. Okay, that is the reality of what we're seeing with Take Two right now. We are seeing the slow, gradual decline of this company while the far superior Nintendo brand reaches new heights. You know, they actually have a budget. They actually release games. They actually have different mascot characters. Okay. Like what does Take Two have outside this illusion that like, well, Grand Theft Auto is the biggest brand in gaming. No, it's not. Never was, and now it never will be. So, with all that being said, the slow, gradual decline of 2K should be an example of just the end result of the PlayStation strategy of just making mature games for mature gamers and assuming that children would endlessly just imitate what adults did. They did not account for the fact that kids would simply get bored of Grand Theft Auto and move on to other more child-friendly franchises. Child-friendly franchises that Nintendo dominates absolutely. So, by abandoning the kid market, you allowed Nintendo to get a foothold into an audience that is going to continue loving that brand until they die. You know, Nintendo's releasing statements now saying that they intend grandparents to like be fans of the company and like sharing it with their families. And I totally understand that business strategy. It seems as if that's going to be they're going to be a huge cultural thing going forward, and there's nothing Take Two can do to stop it. You know, Take Two has completely bent over backwards, crying, moaning, complaining about and this is the end result of it. You know, after all that effort trying to prop up PlayStation, propping up propping up all these like mediocre franchises, trying to keep Xbox and PlayStation and PC relevant. Like this is the end result of it. And above all else, with the Borderlands thing, it didn't even get a day one Steam release. Ooh. So yeah, proving once again that Steam is not relevant, that all of this is happening because of PlayStation and Xbox, of these companies trying to keep these companies afloat. Once PlayStation and Xbox go, Steam goes with it. Like there will be nothing to port to on Steam. Like because game PlayStation and Xbox games will just not exist. They won't be produced. So the end of gaming is here. Nintendo's won not only the console war but the video game war in general, and it's only now all we have to do is just wait for people to start accepting it. This is the beginning of the end of third parties.